to the podcast. Time flies by so fast. We're so happy that you're back. Kick your feet up and relax. Welcome back to the pod. I know you missed us while we were gone. Hope we didn't keep you in too long. Which one are we on? 13.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Frontline Youth Podcast. We're laughing already because, I don't know, we're in a silly, goofy mood. It's me, Isaiah Tijero, one of your hosts, and I'm here with my co-host,
Elijah Tijero, back with another one.
A little late. I know some of y'all are like, a little late. This episode is so late, but I'll remind you that technically we used to do episodes every other week anyway. We spoiled y'all. We're sorry for the wait, honestly, but we are back with another one, and we can't wait to get it popping for y'all.
Facts.
We are we are recording virtual at the moment.
Yes.
And this means that for this episode and most episodes that'll be virtual, at least until we can find a solution, there's no soundboard available. So all of the
we're doing that with our voices now.
So
yes.
no. So
hopefully we will not continue doing that throughout the episode, but no guarantees.
Of the sound effects that you guys know and love are unavailable to us at the moment. So we will be doing a pre-episode 8 type of episode. So
the dark ages before joy had entered the chat.
You know,
I'm still full of joy.
But yeah, we're here. Elijah.
Oh, you want me to introduce them to this?
Are you ready for
nefarious issue?
Nefarious.
Oh yeah, nefarious. Is that the word? Nefarious.
Nefarious. It can be.
Dastardly issue here. We're going to be speaking about the subject of conversation for tonight's podcast episode.
Tonight, for this podcast episode, we don't know what time you listening.
They listening at night.
No, they can be driving early in the morning up to Minnesota to do something in Minnesota.
They could be cleaning late at night because they're like, I can't go into another day
Today's
without cleaning.
episode that we're going to be talking about, it's about backsliding, y'all.
Yes,
I've given
backsliding. Backsliding is the subject.
Bro, I think I'm backsliding on the English language, bro. I can't speak.
That's deep. What exactly is backsliding? Where are we getting this term from here?
Backsliding is, for those of you who aren't familiar, there was a popular music artist, Michael Jackson. And sorry, no, that's the moonwalk. Backsliding in the context
is when you get on the playground
in the context
you're a little confused.
In the context of Christianity and being saved or whatever, backsliding is the idea of no longer living right, no longer doing the will of God, not following in his will that he has for you, not adhering to the guidelines and stipulations that are presented to us from the word of God, not wanting to live righteously, all of these things can be encapsulated in the word backslide.
And I know what you might be thinking. But that's just being unsaved, or that's just being not a Christian, or whatever, right? But the key words here we're no longer.
Correct.
Meaning, at one point, you were living for God. Like, you weren't just, halfway in or something. Like, you knew what was up. But for whatever reason, some life situations come up, your focuses change, your affections change, and you slip away. You slide back.
Sorry.
No, you can't do that. It's not the same.
No.
It doesn't have the same,
No. All right. So, in this topic of backsliding, some of the things that we wanted to cover are recognizing backsliding, recognizing patterns of backsliding, understanding what dangers may be out there, in regards to, what could cause someone to backslide, and how to support and help your peers in not doing that, and not wanting to give it all up into, to live in sin and whatever.
And perhaps how to not do it yourself.
Facts.
All the facts.
You mad close to the mic, bro.
My bad.
It's all good.
It's, I need somebody to talk to. In reality, I'm all by myself in this room.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. So. In my experience, I do feel as though backsliding can look different for everyone, one.
Okay.
But also, two, in particular with youth versus elderly people. Those who
elderly people.
Grown-ups. What? People that are older.
People who are
like
not
me.
youth anymore.
Yeah, like me. I'm not youth anymore, technically.
You're a youth.
They have different patterns of backsliding. There are different things that you can notice and observe that, can indicate to someone that, oh, okay, they're on the way out, or they're, not necessarily living properly. Do you have one that you want to start with, Elijah, or does it not matter?
Yes, I do. I want to start with the most obvious that somebody might think of. So, say somebody they're saved, they're living right for God, doing what they need to be doing. Their heart is where it needs to be. And they're in a church, right? And then at some point, because of some decisions changing, maybe whatever, some influences, they decide that they're breaking away not only from the church, but from whatever they were believing and all of that in favor of what was going on. So, like, somebody leaves the church and it's like, yeah, everything they doing there and everything that I used to say that I believe is trash. That's like the really obvious drastic example.
Yeah. But, it's not the case in every instance. I think more what I meant was, do you want to start talking about how it affects the youth first, or do you want to talk about how it affects the slightly not youth? Is how I'm going to describe
only slightly not
me
youth.
And my homies.
I will since I fit more on the youth side, I will start with the youth.
Okay. So we said that at the same time.
No, you got it. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you a question. What do you think is the main thing that you see in youth in regards to living righteously? Like, what is something that maybe you have noticed amongst your peers?
Who do or who don't live righteously?
Kind of that whole dynamic where it's like
dynamic.
Why
in life?
Why someone would choose one or the other as a youth?
Okay. I understand. I think a youth may choose. Are you talking about like abiding by certain practices, or are you talking about relationship with God or not?
Relationship with God or not?
All right. So relationship with God or not. Usually with somebody who is very young, such as myself, it comes as like maybe they grew up with some influences, or at some point in their youth, because they're still in their youth, they came to know an influence that was like, hey, I'm saved and I believe in God, and I believe that this is the way that we're supposed to live. Let me show you this way of life, and as a young person, you observe it, you evaluate it, and you say, yeah, this is what I want to do. Yeah, I want to learn more about this. Yeah, I want to get into this. And, you get into it and you start applying it wherever it applies in your life, right? That is whatchamacallit. I think how most young people come into it is they meet somebody usually older and more experienced than them that invites them into it, and then they make the choice for themselves. So now some other people can receive the same influence, and they'll say, or maybe a person within a church was like, hey, you should really start coming to church. We have a lot of cool programs, and there are other people your age that come to this church. You won't feel all alone. And the person's like, yeah, I'll come to church. And they start coming and they doing their thing. Maybe they start carrying a Bible. Maybe they learn some prayers and some religious practices. And that's a different thing, right? Now, as far as, is that all you wanted out of that question?
Yeah, pretty much. Where, because something I'm noticing from what you're saying is that definitely as a youth, a lot of the decisions that can be made are affected by an outside influence, right?
Yeah.
So,
usually as a youth, somebody isn't gonna be like, I need to change something in my life and go seeking after it. But maybe somebody will introduce it, and maybe they'll see the need then. Or before they see the need, they just adhere to it out of trust. But yeah, go ahead.
I feel as though peer pressure, which is the operative term here that I didn't use earlier, it kind of has a massive part to play in the decisions that especially young people will make, because oftentimes what young people will do is, they do what their friends are doing, or they'll, take part in mainly like social things, because, young people for the most part, even if they say they don't, they like to be social, just some people are real selective with who they like to be social with, like me. But
hey,
peer pressure definitely has a large part to play, a big role in how youth will live their lives. So, for example, I feel as though many times youth can fall in and out of living righteous depending on who they want to look cool for, or who they're trying to appeal to.
Right.
And, obviously if you're trying to live right and be saved, you can't do it for anyone else but yourself. But in a lot of instances, your relationship with God starts out in maybe in a youth group where, like Fly, for example, Frontline Youth, where, you're amongst people who are your age, a little younger, a little older, whatever, and they all are, trying to live for God and want to make right decisions. And by hanging around these kinds of people, it's likely that, your own perspective might change, and you might say, okay, I understand, that these people, their lives they look good, what I'm talking about, their lives are in order, they have an understanding of their value, they know who they are, they have an identity, and I want some of that. You know what I'm talking about? So
I want me some of that.
I want me some of that identity.
Some of that good. Yeah.
So,
I feel you,
that is an instance in where, because of the examples that they see set before them by other people their age, they decide that they want to follow those examples and live a life similar, right?
Yeah.
However, when you start to, especially as a youth, again, when you start to put your focus in like who you want to spend time with, and it's, people who maybe aren't necessarily living right, they aren't living for God, they're not serving, in ministry, they're not, praying, reading their word as they're supposed to, as would be good for them to do.
Yeah.
Then, you're going to start picking up those habits, because you're going to be like those who you're around. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So when you surround yourself with bad company, as it were, you'll start to pick up those kinds of actions, those kinds of beliefs, those kinds of ideas. And then it reflects itself into how you decide to live your life. And as a result, you trying to live right, you trying to be faithful falls to the side, to put on the back burner. Like, okay, but I want to be cool for these guys or whatever.
Yeah, I got to be cool for these guys.
Yeah,
but no, I think you hit an important point when you said that in peer pressure, the opening clause, not opening clause, huh? The thing that enables peer pressure to do its thing is the desire for some kind of positive attention from a certain, you want affirmation, you want respect, you want acceptance from a certain group of people or a certain individual or whatever. And so a lot of times it can depend on not only who you want affirmation from, but in what ways, like to what extent you desire that from them.
Yeah.
So like it's not enough for somebody to be my friend. Like I need them to think I'm just like them, or I need them to think that, and that this goes for somebody who is living right or somebody who isn't.
Yeah.
Like their window for peer pressure, whether I know it or not, is built up by the depth of my desire for their attention. That sounds a little weird, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So I'm not meaning to sound like I'm trying to say if you're a youth, then you're just susceptible to peer pressure. That's just what you are.
Down whippersnappers. Somebody said that in the comments. Shout out to you. You know who you are.
Talking about us whippersnappers. I'm a whippersnapper. Anyway. And I just wanted to mention that, when we talk about these things, we're not just saying them because that's what the consensus is. Obviously, we've lived lives, that was it. Big surprise. We've lived lives.
What?
And we're still living them. But, we have our own experiences where, us trying to fit into a certain crowd or surrounding ourselves with certain people affect the way that we behave, affect the way that we act. Do you have any experiences that you want to share before I share mine, or you want me to go?
I think yours is more on the nose. Go for it for right now.
Okay.
You got it.
So, this has been mentioned in a previous episode at some point, but in the 11th grade in high school, I joined the football team. Now,
hey,
this was a fun time. The football team was very fun. Honestly, in terms of my social position, in terms of my interactions with other people, feeling comfortable having conversations, whatever, football was very good for me. It helped me come out of my shell in a lot of areas. Like I remember before football in high school, when I would go to eat lunch, I would go eat lunch in the library with the librarians. Which, hey, bro, I still would enjoy to this day. You know, it's regular to go eat
Respect.
amongst literature.
Eat amongst literature. They will be eating with you. Chapter 1. It was yummy. And you'd be like, man, facts, this food bussin', man. And then the book's gonna talk back to you. Actually, you know,
But also,
I take back my statement. I don't think eating amongst the literature means that the literature is eating too. Y'all who are laughing at me while listening, shut up. Go ahead. I didn't say anything, really. I take it all back. I take it all back. Take what all back? It was never there. We have no soundboard right now, so I can't even undo my conundrum here.
Eating amongst
Snare.
literature means I'm eating with books around. I don't know where he's got this concept that the books are also eating.
It was funny in my head to imagine, like, oh yeah, you know, I can't wait to share a meal with
literature.
my books. Yes, with literature. Yes. All right. Anyway, go ahead. Though. My bad, Joe.
I ate lunch in the library, surrounded by books. You know, I brought my lunch from home, whatever. But as I continued going to practice and playing games or whatever, football made it so that I felt more confident, more social, whatever. Now, these are good things, but it wasn't all good. In fact, if Elijah will probably remember, but that year when I was in football, me and my father would have it out because I had become a rebellious whack.
Oh, nice.
Ungrateful.
A rebel?
Son. I was pretty lame.
I see what you're going, yeah.
You know?
I thought you were saying a whack, like a noun. I was a rebellious whack. I was just such a...
Get out.
Oh, a wacko. All right.
No.
I'm getting it all wrong today.
I'm about
Y'all
to
help
hang
me
up.
out. Y'all need to help me out in the comments.
I'm about to do this
because,
episode
you know,
by myself.
all right.
No, I'm just kidding. I tried to do something like that so I could get you guys an episode out last week. That the worst. Anyway, yeah. So being surrounded by those kinds of people, and I'm not trying to rag on my team because that was my football team, but they weren't necessarily the most holy and righteous, if you will. You know, I picked up a lot of language from them. I remember I used to curse a lot and stuff like that, and I don't know, I wasn't like doing.
So you would
anything.
you would say stuff like, "No, I'm just playing. We don't have a bleep button or nothing, bro. I'm failing right now. Go ahead."
Y'all come get this. Come get him and take him somewhere to get help. But anyway, I picked up a lot of bad habits. I was having a lot of conversations with people about things that I really had no business talking about, that unless it comes up somehow in a later episode, I have no business talking about on this podcast either. But
yeah,
and these things were a result of the company that I kept. It was a result of the people that I hung around. We didn't really have, or did we have a teen ministry then? What is it called? Centrifuge?
I don't think it had a name there. I think it was just teen ministry.
Centrifuge.
I
don't remember Centrifuge.
am reluctant. I'm reluctant to call it that. I don't remember. If we did have that, that was a whack name. Not hating on the ministry, because I actually enjoyed the time greatly, but nah. Centrifuge is not it. Moving on.
Anyway, if I had invested myself in the teen ministry that we had at the church that we were going to, maybe I would have been able to, have better just influences on the way that I behaved. But during that time, there weren't a lot of other people my age, other guys my age going to the teen ministry. So, when I would want to hang out with my guys, with my boys, That would be the football team, you know? So, you know, where I went for my social interaction, where I went for my connections or whatever, wasn't necessarily the best place for me to foster my relationship with the Lord. So, yeah, what I'm saying is that, you know, while I'm speaking about how peer pressure can affect youth, I'm not just saying that to say it. You know, I have personal experience where it's like apparent that during this time where, you know, I'm fighting with my dad, you know, talking back, whatever. And I don't know if I can say that, but typically people like me don't talk back to their parents. I'm just leave it there.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I see where you're going there.
But yeah, so it was very out of character for me. But that was just what it was because of the company that I decided I wanted to hang around and who I decided it would be cool to be like.
Yeah. I'm glad that you went first because it gave me a little bit of time to think. It reminded me of something that I want to talk about later, but as for right now, my experience. So around this time that you're talking about with the football team and everything, I think I was like 10, 11. I was chilling. I think my greatest worries in life were like Ayo and Teo, learning the next dance move, and I don't think most of the listeners know who those people are. They made that song, I just wanna rollie, rollie, rollie. I thought they were so cool. They had them moves back in the day. Anyway, I wasn't really thinking about like major decisions like that. It was more so when we had moved to here, North Carolina, my latter years of middle school. And so I don't think I've ever been through a period of time in school where I'm like, oh man, I have no friends or anything like that. Like there's always been people to talk to, people to share moments with, laugh with. And just, you said what?
I said literature.
Oh, literature. Yeah. Hey, although you can have friends and like to read. I remember loving to read.
I don't know why
I need to
like
regain that love.
Literature. I just say because it's funny.
Literature.
I usually say literature, but literature is kind of funny.
Anyway, y'all, read. That's for free.
Read your Bible. That's
big facts.
That'll pay you.
That's buy one free, get one another free. That's 2 free in a row. So anyway, there wasn't a point where I was like, man, I have no friends, but there was nothing really, I didn't really stand out from the next guy, right? And so we are in middle school and maybe starting in the 7th grade. For whatever reason, most of my friends were in the 8th grade. And, you know, I got a little free hype because it's like, oh, man, you know this dude always hanging with us. He's in the grade below us. Oh, that's our cool little 7th grade homie. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's somewhat in my character to seek out that kind of attention. And so when especially like we were talking about the positions of peer pressure, when you feel below someone or you feel like they are in some way more achieved than you want to kind of get that approval. You want to get that opinion from them so it makes you feel accepted among them. And so even though I thought I was pretty secure in the fact that I was a Christian and everything, like I thought I'd really made that choice. Now when more things become available to me, more attention, more popularity become available to me, I'm like, oh, well, you know, I'm not going to, like I never drank, I never smoked anything, I never really started cursing or thought that, I was never like, oh yeah, I'm going to start doing that. I thought that I could maintain what was to me an acceptable level of Christianity while also balancing a quote unquote acceptable level of worldliness. And so what I mean by that is not that I was committing some violent sin by associating with people who weren't saved, but it came to the point where now I'm wanting to talk about all the same things that they're talking about, whether that means, dang, you see that girl walking by in the middle school hallway, she bad, you know, she got that, you know, all that madness and whatever. And, you know, when there's if there's girls, even if they're trifling, if they want you, that's clout. So it's like, yeah, you know, she want me. And just like devaluing other people for the sake of your own personal gain. I don't know if you can even call it gain. I wasn't gaining anything. I looked stupid, but it makes you feel cool, you know. And so things that I thought at the time were an acceptable level of worldliness to balance with my Christianity, they were really not acceptable. Like taking advantage and devaluing the people around you, I don't think that's cool to this day. But I was blinded by my desire to receive a certain type of attention from certain people, and then it ended up, instead of me arguing with the parents, because I knew, well, I never wanted to say like, oh, Christianity is wrong. And there was a point in time where I just was not focused on it at all. And I was like, yeah, you know, I go to church, just a little thing. But then when we're at school, I do the most I can to divert from that. And this is like through the 8th grade and everything. I start getting into like invites to places that I shouldn't go. Most of the time I didn't go. Then I remember there were some friends that would enable me, because you know how our parents are, especially me being in middle school at the time, is like, you're not going to go and hang out with whoever you just want to hang out with and spend the whole day there at some party like I don't know what's going down. So they would always want to meet the people. And there were parents that would act super nice and be like, yeah, you know, we're just such a nice Christian family. And then our parents would be like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, Elijah, you can go ahead as long as you're back at this time. And then we'll go, and then they're knowingly doing something that my parents would not have been okay with.
Correct.
And I was like, yeah, you know, no. But I was like, yeah, you know, we getting down. We're cool like that, man. My parents still got to know. And it's not like I'm smoking crack, so, you know, we're fine. And because of my desire to have it both ways, I was trying to walk between the straight and narrow and the squiggly and wide path. And it just doesn't work that way. You end up getting nowhere in either direction. And knowingly, but in denial, I was just lost in sin, mostly just seeking after the things of sin. And when it came to living for God, that wasn't my intention. I just wanted to look good in front of my family and church people. So that just led to a bunch of lying about what I'm doing, obviously. And it led to a bunch of dishonesty, a bunch of personal evaluation, like, you know, is it so bad that I'm doing this? Is it so bad that I'm doing that? It's just a lot of decisions that shouldn't have been made. But even though I would not have admitted it at that time, it was because of my intense desire to be continuously liked and whatchamacallit by the other people around me. Yes. That peer pressure is real. Even if it's not people saying, do crack right now, and you say, okay. Like, that's not the only thing that peer pressure is.
Facts. What that made me think of, that whole story, is like we were saying, you know, your Christianity can't be what's cool to do right now. You know what I mean? It can't be like what all your friends are doing, so that's why you want to do it. Because then, you know, then are you really living right at all? Like, living right, sure. Right. But do you believe, you know, that Jesus came down, died for your sins, rose again? Do you want to live for him, seek him, do his will because you love Jesus? Or do you want to do it because your homies love Jesus? You know what I mean?
Right.
It can. One of those is the right answer. One of those is not the wrong wrong answer. Vine boom. I need the buttons, bro.
We don't got it.
I know.
I don't think I think there's some people who don't even know it's called a vine boom or what that even.
True.
Honestly, that doesn't have a hard definition, but y'all know the sound, the one we use the most often. Anyway,
so if you're going to be strong in your faith, you have to make sure it's yours. Yeah, you can't, you know, be strong in the faith of you and your homies. Like, that's not how that works. Like, it's a personal thing, regardless of, like, obviously it's good to have friends who are like-minded. It's good to have friends who want to do the same things as you in terms of living right. It's good to have friends who are a good influence. However, having those friends doesn't equate to you being saved. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you're just being saved because you want to please others, then you're wrong. You're wrong. That's
You're not being saved. You're acting like someone who is,
you're
but
acting
you're
saved.
not.
Appreciate you.
Yes. And to bring it back to the subject of backsliding, with this whole issue of who your friends are, like having friends, even if they have maybe differences of opinion, isn't necessarily diabolical, and you don't need to be a villain or somebody who suddenly hates Christianity in order to backslide. What it takes is compromise. And so maybe, like most youth that we're talking about, somebody was there to lead you into Christianity, and maybe at some point you really made the decision for yourself. You're like, man, you know what? It's not just because of what other people have said, but now I have an understanding of who I am in God's eyes, and I want to live a life for Him like I was designed to, or like, you know, that I've learned that I'm designed to. But then the friends that you still want to keep around are leading you in another direction. As your friends, I think it's a good thing to be like, hey, y'all, where you going? What you doing? You know what I'm saying? You don't just, all right, I'm never speaking to you again. But when it comes to a certain point where they're like, nah, bro, you're either with us and you're not, you have to make that decision. If with them means with sin, you got to pick not. You got to pick not if your salvation is your number one priority, which it should be, because you know that's the fate of your soul and whatnot.
Yeah, kind of important. Okay. Yeah. What else do we got? Got to take a look.
People
at the
who are
notes
not
once again.
youth.
People that are not youth.
Yes.
Well, before we move on from that, I want to touch a little bit on kind of the whole church kid thing real quick.
Right.
Because in a lot of instances, if you're in church all the time, every day and every night.
Stop it right now.
You're up in church and...
Stop it.
All right. And...
To your delight. Yes, I'm coming in clutch. I know with the lyrics.
You're
with
in
the fire.
You're in service, whatever. You go on outreach with your parents. But then you decide, oh, well, I want to live like this. I want to do da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah?
Right. My favorite activity.
The question is that backsliding? Right? Because obviously backsliding has to do with leaving, has to do with turning your back on a personal choice that you made to be saved. Yeah, turning your back on your responsibilities.
That's crucial.
But if you never made those decisions to begin with, you know, from birth, from youth, then you were never saved to begin with, you know?
Right.
And it's important that, you know, even if you think that, you know, you're doing all the right things, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're saved. Like in Elijah's whole scenario, he was talking about in his story, where, you know, he was essentially living right by his parents and by everyone in church or whatever. In his heart, he knew he wasn't saved, right? He knew he wasn't right with God. And so, again, going back to the whole thing where you can't do it for appearances, because that doesn't equal salvation.
Right. And then, dang, I would lose my train of thought. Oh, yes. Being raised up with, even if your people around you are very saved, meaning they're saved from their sins through a decision to accept the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. By the way, because I know we say saved a lot. We defined it before, but just in case you're new. Even if the people around you are living right and living for God and doing everything that they're supposed to, and you are raised with those values, if you never made a decision personally to live for God, then that means you have not known it all already. And so you can be educated, you can have a cultural background of Christian people being around you, and then you can go away from it. And maybe when somebody comes up to you and is like, hey, do you know Jesus? Hey, is your heart right with God? It's appealing to say, oh, yeah, I know about all that. Oh, yeah, I used to go to church when I was your age. I've been through the ringer with it all. If you have never made a personal stop. Oh my gosh. I don't even know the rest of the lyrics to that song. But yeah, if you never made a personal decision to live for God, you really haven't known it all. The Bible says to taste and see that the Lord is good. And if you don't know the Lord is good, maybe it's because you ain't tasted yet. And that's okay, but you gotta taste. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta really get into, you gotta give yourself to it. Not a background speculation, not a I really hope this magical fairy thing is real, but you consider where it applies in your heart. And the resources are available to do such a thing.
Yes, sir. Okay.
I don't think yeah.
So we got to talk about the steps you can take as your peers to help one another. But first,
okay,
we're going to talk about backsliding as observed in elder folks. Yes,
elder folks.
Older
Senior
folks,
citizens.
not elders.
Older folks.
Elder scrolls.
Regular citizens.
All right. It's considerably different for those who are a little more established in life when they backslide, because in a lot of instances they have the means to, one, really hide their backslidingness, like it's happening, because they're not always going to be coming to youth group every week or whatever,
Right.
And and they're not in group chats necessarily. It's a good idea to have people that you're accountable to, but sometimes that can slip away or slip through your fingers as an older person, especially when you have a lot of responsibility. So
right.
you have the means to not really show that you're thinking about leaving or whatever. And also it can become another factor where no one's gonna make you come, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, obviously no one's forcing kids to believe in Jesus or whatever, like you can't force that. But like,
right,
in a lot
if
of
it's forced, it ain't it.
Right, but in a lot of instances, if their parents are dropping them off at youth group, they're going to youth group. You know what I mean? It's not like I don't want to go to youth group. Like, all right, well, guess what? I don't want to pay all this electric bill.
Oh,
parents, bro,
boy, you better get out this car.
I don't want to pay all that water. You be taking 3-hour showers. If you're
Hallelujah.
taking 3-hour showers, you coming out looking like raisins, bro.
Please. Also, I think when I said hallelujah, I might have blown out the ears again. I'm
bro,
so sorry.
It's good, bro.
The limiter will save y'all.
So when you're more established in life, obviously no one's gonna force you to do any of these things. Force is
right.
Not really the perfect word, but it's the word that I got. So
nobody's got the personal authority over you.
Facts.
To do something like that. You're independent.
Yeah. So then, it's easier for you to slip away. And that makes it definitely more of a active thing, where you have to make sure that you're being accountable to people, that you're, continuing to grow stronger in your relationship with God, whether that be through ministry, if that's something that you're called to do, but also just the basics, which is praying and reading and whatnot, and your tithes. Also, we've never done an episode about tithing because I don't know if y'all got any money listening, but we could talk about tithing at some point.
I mean, Sorry, that kind of slipped out.
It's important. But yeah, and then another thing, probably the mostest main thing.
The main thing.
Right. That I notice even in myself, as well as in those who are even more established than I am, you know, or whatever, living life, is that you can start to let your focus be shifted to other things that could be or are important, you know, like raising your family, you know, your career, making them dollars and whatnot. You know what I mean?
They have their place of importance.
Right, of course. But it could become easy to let all these things that you have on your plate kind of force their way into the forefront of your mind and push Christianity aside, push your faith aside. In a lot of instances, when I observe those who have backslidden and they're going through a hard time or something and they're struggling in something and, you know, they feel like they need to change, for some reason, the first idea that comes to their mind is, let's stop going to church.
I don't think it's usually like a, and I know you're not saying this, but it's funny that it's typically not a, I'm not going to church anymore. It's like, you know, I think I just need a break from church.
You know?
Like, I feel like if I wasn't going to church, then, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's, you know, you can make it sound a certain way, but I don't understand why when things aren't going right, that's when you're like, yeah, Jesus, you're not it right now. Like, huh? What's going on here?
Right.
I'll tell you what's going on. The devil. Anyway.
Hallelujah. All right.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. But I'm saying hallelujah because that truth.
You know?
You feel me?
You feel me? But, you know, when you start to focus on your own personal beliefs, your own personal, I guess, will, then you're no longer focusing on the will of God. Yeah. I remember there's something else. There's a verse, right? You want to read the verse?
Sure, but I got to pull that thing up.
I got it.
Oh, okay.
Proverbs
There's Windows stuff going
14:14. I'm going to say it again for y'all if you didn't hear me. Proverbs 14:14. I'm reading this out of the English Standard Version. Yeah. It says, "The backslider in heart will be filled with the fruit of his ways, and a good man will be filled with the fruit of his ways." Now, it's a pretty short verse, but I think it really encapsulates what I'm saying here. It makes sense because it's like a backslider in heart will be filled with the fruit of his ways, meaning that the actions that you are acting upon, whatever, the things that you decide to put your focus in, the things that you invest in, obviously those are the things that are going to grow, right? So if you're not investing in your relationship with God, if you're not investing in salvation, you know, if you're not investing in making sure that you are living righteous, that you're still maintaining your salvation, and you're instead investing in reupholstering your sofa because, you know, that's something that you really want to do, or you're investing in, and this is going to sound crazy. I mean, it's, you know, but you're instead investing in shooting for a promotion or something, maybe trying to get ahead in your field, like, you know, or you're investing in, I don't know, college or something, college far away or whatever, you know, you're investing in and focusing on, you know, whether those things be good things or not, you know, if they're taking the place of your salvation, then, man, we don't have the button, but that's dangerous. You know what I mean? Treacherous.
It was perilous. Don't worry. We said it at the same time when it's lined up. I know there's a delay between us, but when you line it up, that's at the same time. Facts. Anyway. Wait, is that how that works? Maybe it's not.
That's what I've said.
No, it is.
I'm done. I have nothing more to say.
Yeah, that's true though. I just want to say, as for, people who may not feel the most secure in your salvation right now or in your faith currently, like maybe you're thinking about it, because backsliding doesn't begin with the sudden act of leaving. You don't wake up one day and you're like, all right, I hate God.
God sucks.
But
I'm gonna go smoke crack.
Right.
I don't know why, guys. I'm so sorry. It's always crack.
If you smoke crack and all right, never mind. I'm stopping right there.
Not. Yeah, no.
But sometimes, or actually every time, it starts first in your heart, and not even necessarily, I keep using the word, but in a diabolical way, not in any sort of villainous way, but maybe you have honest fears, honest concerns, and your biggest help, your best friend in this situation, and it's going to sound cliche, but you got to hear me out, is to trust in God. Now, I know you're like, bruh, are you serious? Right? But sometimes the biggest thing that will cause us to maybe look for affirmation in something other than God, or pursue that bigger job opportunity, is because you're living for God right now. You're doing what you need to do. And then maybe you face a financial crisis and you're like, is God really going to take care of me? And from what you've read in God's word and from the examples you've seen in other people's lives, it's like, yeah, God's going to take care of me. But, right now you just can't reconcile in your mind how that's really possibly going to happen. Your choice right there is to trust God, not with your emotions, but I'm talking about with your actions, and being like, you know what, I'm going to stay faithful and committed to God. Or you could rely on outside factors. You'd be like, man, well, if I take this job in Tucson, they got me. I'm going back to Texas.
Tucson?
And that's not in Texas.
That's Arizona.
I got reminded of Texas because the going back to Texas cliche. But anyway,
I don't know.
And you decide, you know what?
Texas, it can't be that good.
Oh my God. Texas is big. But anyway, you decide to, take your trust off God in that, then that's your choice. And like he was saying before, that you will receive the fruit of that. And so you're gonna receive what you put in. And so if what you put in is trust in the world, you're gonna receive what the world has for you. If you put your trust in God, you're gonna receive what God has for you. And so sometimes it really relies on your faith, because if you believe, which I believe that you can securely believe, if you believe that God really does see you, even in your present circumstance, and that he actually does care, and that he actually is potent to help you, it'll be a little bit easier to stick with it.
Yeah.
And if you stick with it, you're going to eat that reward. And it's going to be like, wow, God's got me. And so don't be afraid if you're dealing with some doubts and whatever. It's understandable. It happens to people. But don't give it all up in this moment of frustration. God loves you.
That is a fact. And I would hit the clapping button, but we don't have that either.
I got you. I just beat my chest like a warrior.
Anyway.
Oh. All right. Anyway.
In addition to everything that Elijah just said, which is probably more important, the most important, because it has to do with you personally, another good idea is to make sure that the company that you keep, that you're surrounding yourself with people who can lift you up. What is that called? Uplift you.
You lift me up.
No. To uplift you and help you.
So I can stand on mountains. You live. All right, my bad. I promise I won't.
Because when people are living in a similar way to you, and they're having the same kinds of struggles, or they've been through those struggles already, it's good to have those people to talk to and to help assist you in continuing to focus on the reason that we're doing this, the reason we live for God, and all that. Now, as the person who is supposed to be uplifting someone else, how do you do that? How do you assist your peers in understanding that the right thing to do is to live for God, and encouraging them to be like, hey, bro, live for God?
One of our listeners would say, well, I'm glad you asked.
We got a shout out in the last episode.
Which one? The Blitz?
Yeah, with Katie. Katie said it, though. I didn't. Oh, wait, no, I think I did. But
wait, was it by name, though?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she broke the rules.
Yeah, never again.
If y'all keeping up with the Blitz, then you know who this mysterious person is. Now, you probably already knew anyway, but go ahead, though. What you were saying about being the friend.
It was you.
Oh, I thought you were like begging the question, and I was backing it up.
No.
Now,
tell us.
Well, I would be happy to. Glad you asked.
I'm glad you. You see, yes, you said I'm glad you asked. How did you not know that you were gonna answer it?
It was because this said individual that we're speaking about does it to himself. Ain't nobody asked for real. All right. Anyway, to be the friend, to help somebody in their time of need when they're feeling about backsliding. One rule of thumb: don't go crazy judging on them. Like, oh my gosh, what has become of you? Brother in Christ, you used to be The Rock, and now
you're Kevin Hart.
Oh my gosh, I knew it was coming. I was like, I'm not going to be able to get this out without him making a reference to Dwayne The Rock Johnson. But don't get religious on people.
Yeah.
And be ready to condemn them. That doesn't mean that you got to condone everything that they do, but be ready to help them to get back on the right track instead of kicking them while they're already walking out.
Yeah.
So they go faster.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Sorry. You doggone dirty sinner. You dog.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah.
My God.
Can I say freaking on the
I
pod?
was wondering. I don't know.
Yeah. My sincerest apologies to, I'm looking in the camera like y'all can see me. My sincerest apologies to any listeners who were offended by that. And if you comment or if you say something, I'm not saying that no more. But anyway.
Yeah. So sorry.
If it wasn't a problem, it wasn't a problem. But as these, we mentioned they're friends. Yes, voice crack on me. You're friends with these people who are backsliding. And so as a friend, your primary concern is helping them to stay on track. And most times when somebody's feeling like backsliding, that means, by definition, they were in right relationship with God truly, and now they're thinking of something else. It's probably because something's got them messed up. They're really going through something, or even if it's not an external situation, maybe they have an internal thought process that's been gnawing away at them. And the first step is definitely to hear them out about what's going on and to assure them that there's a way to overcome this through living for God. There's no circumstance or problem that God's never heard of before he designed you.
Yeah.
And so you'd be like, hey, let's go see our very saved friend about this. Or maybe you're the very saved friend and you got all the knowledge and whatever. You help him out. Not in a I'ma teach you moment, but look, man, you might need to hear this right now because I see that you're going through it.
Yeah.
And that concern that you showed them, maybe they were starting to doubt in their heads that you even cared. But you being there, understanding their pain, and still leading them back to Jesus, they're going to be like, dang, you really believe, don't you? Maybe I need to believe too. But yeah. So just be supportive and lead them back to the right path and love them. Show love to them regardless of what they do.
For sure. Because that's how you can assist your friends in, maintaining a right relationship with God. And
that's
also,
what God did for us.
Yeah. This is just a small side note, but in doing that, also make sure that you're living right yourself, because
Yeah.
you're also going to be an example to them. So make sure that you're doing the right thing. Elijah, can you see?
That's real.
This is a behind the scenes, y'all. I'm sorry, but Elijah, can you see the chat?
Oh, I've scrolled to the bottom.
Yeah. But yeah, how's that sound?
I think that's cool. I think that's cool.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about it out loud now? No, go ahead. What were you saying? What do you have?
I was going to discuss the idea that we save the topic that we have slated for the second half to go into a blitz, or something.
Aye.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would be good for, continuing to produce good content. And for not dragging it out too long for some of y'all complainers. No, I was playing.
No, I know.
Let us know what you think, though.
People have said that we talk too much, but bro, look, we having to. Anyway,
Yeah.
we said. Would you rather we cut out some of the stuff we said, and if so, which parts? And then tell me if the episode is as good or as funny or whatever. And if it's not, your comments, deleted,
positive or negative,
will
not be audibly taken personally. But depending on what our management decides, our management being us and some headship,
of course,
we may or may not change.
Shout out headship.
Whatever you suggest. That does not mean don't suggest it. That does not mean we will hate you, because first of all, you're listening. You've gotten here to the, what are we at? 1 hour, 1 minute, and 30 something seconds, because I know we're not exactly synced.
I'm at 36.
And I'm at 40 now.
Nice. I just hit 40. Wow. We're kind of synced.
We're pretty close.
Yeah.
But, y'all are listening. You're faithful. You've given us your ear. You're thinking about stuff. You're wanting to know stuff. We love you. You're valuable. And don't ever think that your opinion is not valuable. Now, will it always be what we choose? In the direction of the podcast? Maybe not.
Time.
But it doesn't mean don't offer it.
Yeah, for sure. Also, we have to do a secret word, and then
yes.
I was looking up how to share your podcast, and they say on the internet that the best way to do this is to do what's called a call to action. We've done this in an episode before, and we're going to do it again.
Hallelujah.
Right. If there's an episode that you really like from the podcast, or that you,
episode 8.
or this one maybe, episode or whatever, 2. Or an episode that you feel would be really good to send to somebody, please do so. Share the podcast around with your friends, because when we're sharing with all the people that we share with, then we can only reach them. But if all the people we reach out to the people they can react, blah, 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 you know what I'm talking about? Then it can become something grand. So
grand.
We would appreciate it if you would please, share the podcast if you feel comfortable, with somebody who you think would enjoy it, or maybe someone who you think needs to hear it. You know what I mean? Something like that. That'd be cool. 2, in these comments.
Ooh, hold on.
What?
And try to be particular. Don't try to call somebody out about a specific issue, but if you think, oh, so and so would just love this one episode, send that one to them. Be intentional about it. Don't just send them no random episode that you didn't even like. Send them something that you think they will like. Be a W friend. Max, go ahead.
We've noticed that there's been a lot of interaction from you guys, a lot of comments, a lot of things that you guys want to hear from us in the blitzes, as well as in just the mainline episodes. And we appreciate that, and we'll try to get to all of them that make sense to be put into an episode. Sometimes, we'll be inspired by your comment to do something, but it might not be exactly what you wrote down. But that doesn't mean that we don't appreciate it. That doesn't mean that we would have came up with it whether you commented or not, because your comment is what, helped us to come up with some more content, and we appreciate you guys definitely for being a part of this, for continuing to support us,
Yeah.
And
fun fact, this episode, this very topic was sort of kind of indirectly developed from somebody's comment.
Yeah, it was.
Keep commenting. We love you. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, now we got to come up with a secret word for you guys.
It's got to be a good one.
It does have to be a good one.
He said, whisper? No.
Grizzly bear?
But it's a good one for backsliding, because they could be in the comments, and don't be afraid to reuse the one that I'm saying. Be like, I'm trying to do the right thing, but it's hard not to listen to that subtle whisper in the back of my head,
Whisper? All right. I think that's cool. Careless whisper.
Oh my gosh, I forgot it was called that. I'm uncultured, y'all. Anyway,
Whisper.
This has been the Fly Podcast, episode 13.
Yep. Oh, anyway, that song at the beginning, kind of fun, all right. Anyway, we appreciate you guys for listening. Thank you so much for sticking with us for another episode. We should be back to our regular schedule now. So the next episode will be next Friday. It'll be another Blitz. And then obviously we'll have another mainline episode the week after that. But we appreciate you guys so much. And thank you for your support, your continued support. And we'll catch y'all in the next one.
Adios.